picked up a pack of plastic straws from Target, and then I pulled out an empty roll of duct tape from my utility closet. Starting with the straws, I cut off the bendy portion of the first one, and then 2 by 2 I cut pairs of straws that were about a 1/4 inch shorter than the previous one, until I had kind of a stair-step effect like this. I glued down the first, longest piece as my starting point, and then I took each of the matching pairs of straws after that and put one on each side, left and right of the centerpiece. I worked my way down from the tallest to the shortest straws, and when I got to the end, I finished the loop around the roll with a bunch of straws of the same height. I cut a circle out of some cardboard that was the same size as the roll of tape. Then I used that to seal one side of the roll. And for that gap in the back, I hot glued another piece of scrap cardboard to finish it off. Once it was done, I had something like this, which I took outside and covered in a few coats of gold spray paint. This is what it looked like when it was done. I took some Velcro command strips and attached them to the back. Then I hung it up on the wall. I finished it off with a small battery-powered puck light, turning this straw contraption into a beautiful DIY wall sconce. If I hadn't been the one to make it, I would never have guessed that this was made out of plastic straws and an empty roll of tape. This DIY starts at Walmart and the bathroom. I took an empty toilet paper roll and hot glued it to a wood round made for crafts. Then I took it out to my garage and gave it a paint job in all black. I set that aside and pulled out my Walmart placemat. Then I cut off about the bottom third of it. Using another wood round, I added hot glue along the edge and carefully lined up the placemat and the wood. Once the two ends met, I glued them together as well. I used a little more hot glue to bring both parts of this project together, and then I was left with the coolest, ultra-modern table lamp that I can use to light up any space in my home.
There are so many cool designs for paper straws now, and when I saw these, I knew just what I wanted to use them for. I want to start by painting the cutting board with this gorgeous shade of moss green paint. To give the board a little charm and age, I'm not going to cover the entire thing. Now that the board is ready, I can start adding these cool paper straws I found the other day. I want to use enough straws to cover most of the bottom half of the board, but I don't want them going right to the edges. The straws are really easy to cut, so I'm going to cut the ends off, leaving each one a different length. Now that I have them arranged how I like, it's time to attach them to the board. I'm going to start by attaching the outer 2 straws with some hot glue. I can use one of the straws I didn't cut as a guide to make sure they're all lined up at the bottom. With everything arranged, I can now move several straws at a time and put down a line of hot glue. I don't need much to hold them in place. The straws won't move now that they're all glued down, but I'd still like to attach some pretty cotton ribbon around them. I'm going to add just a little hot glue under the ribbon on the back, just to keep them in place. I also want to attach a little piece of the ribbon through the hole at the top of the cutting board. With the board and straws ready, it's time to pop in some flower stems. These reminded me of Lily of the Valley, and I absolutely love that, so the colors go perfectly with the board. I'll finish putting the flower stems in, and then I'll show you what it looks like. I love how pretty this piece turned out, and I still can't believe that it's made from just a cutting board and some paper straws. I hope this has inspired you to grab some at the dollar store next time you're there as well.
So I picked up 2 different styles of placemats. So I chose this one, or actually Alex chose this one, and I chose the beige. This one's going to be a neutral everyday door hanger, so we're going to turn a placemat into a door hanger. I also have this little bit of leftover wire, and this is what we're going to use to create a hanger. So I showed you this jute, and this would work great for a hanger if you're deciding to use something like this, which doesn't have that texture. But by using this burlap placemat right here, this is going to work great because it already has all of this kind of rope right here, and all you have to do is just feed your wreath hook or your command strip right through it, and it's going to stay in place. So this is actually the preferred placemat to use, but now it's time to embellish this. So I picked up this little sign from Walmart as well. This was like $5.99 or so. A little bit pricey, but I like that it's already painted and textured. What we're going to do is just flip this over, and I'm going to use black pipe cleaners today so that they actually show up on camera. And there's already a little screw on the back of it from the hanger that they had in the store. And I'm just going to take that pipe cleaner and wrap it around just like that. And then on the other side, I'm going to use our staple gun. I know that this sign is safe enough to use 1/4-inch staples without the staple going through the front, and that's definitely something you should make sure, because once you damage the front, the sign's no good anymore. So we're just going to take it and staple it. And since this sign is so lightweight, one staple should do the trick. So I'm just going to take that pipe cleaner and feed it through the top. You could actually easily feed it through any placemat. It just takes a little bit more work than what we're doing here. So I definitely recommend a placemat like this. Feed it through on either side. Twist it nice and secure. Then you can flip it over. Twist it even more so. And the reason I like to twist it more is because I like it to actually be longer. That way I know that it's well wrapped, and then that way I can actually just take it and bend it right back into the jute placemat. Up next, we're going to take this magnolia spray, and these are like $1.99, and what we're going to do is just take it, bend some of the leaves backwards, flip it over. Firstly, remove the tag. I'm the worst at doing that. Remove your tag, and then snip off the stem. So you don't need all of that stem length. What we have here is essentially a swag, and to secure this, I'm going to use a zip tie. So just feed your zip tie through, place your magnolia on it, and then tighten it, nice and secure. So I typically like to work with greenery first, not always, but typically. So we're going to start with a little bit of this foliage, and it's not going to require too much glue because the jute holds, the hot glue perfectly. So if you're placing something with the jute, just know that it might be a little bit more difficult to remove than it would on like a plastic base because the jute holds that glue perfectly. So let's work in all of these leaves. Okay, so now we have a nice little bed of the ranunculus foliage. Now we can actually work in the blooms. So we'll take one and place it here. And another one will sit there. And our third one will sit there. Up next, we have this ranunculus spray, and we have these in a bunch of different colors. I'm just going to actually pop off the heads instead of cutting them, and we don't need much of a stem length for this whatsoever. And I'll also remove that foliage so we can cover up the stem from the magnolia and cover up that zip tie as well. So it really doesn't require a whole lot, and this project can be done for less than $10. So now let's glue these in place. So I have a little bit of leftover foliage, and we're actually going to use this to our advantage. I'm just going to snip into smaller clusters so we can distribute it a little bit better. And you could stop at whatever point. One of the things that makes crafting and designing so much fun is that you can do it however you like, right? So if you don't like this type of foliage I'm using, feel free to substitute it with whatever you have on hand is what I recommend first, or whatever you like. So just taking a little bit of this is adding some finer texture because we have that broadleaf magnolia, and that's all that is necessary. So let's hang this design up and show you the finished reveal. And here is how it turned out. I absolutely love it. This cost us less than $10 to create, and I think it makes a great piece for a wall. It makes great door decor. And when you design, you guys, don't feel as though you have to spend a fortune. It doesn't have to be time-consuming. It doesn't have to be expensive, nor does it have to be intricate. So I think this turned out so cute. And feel free to improvise or choose products that you have on hand or things that really scream you. That's what makes designing fun. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Nick Kretikos of Nick's Seasonal Decor, and you're watching me on Hometalk.